People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
All right, troops. Yes, we're back. I know we've been a bit sort of all over the place the past few weeks because I've had all kinds of personal stuff going on and not being able to be in my apartment and see stuff like that, which you all don't need to know about. But we are back now, and tonight we're going to be ranking the John Wick franchise. Now, I know, once again, we were supposed to be talking about our favorite movie villains. Sorry, Ronnie, we're going to do that either next week or the week after. We are definitely going to do that, though. That is going to be the next stream, and we will get to that. But like I said, things have just been a bit sort of up in the air recently, but without further ado, I'm going to bring in the squad and we will discuss the John Wick franchise. So first off, we have Nate. How are you?
Well, hello. I wasn't thinking I was going to be on, but here I am.
Alrighty, and we have Charlie. How are you?
I am here. Yeah, Nate's used to me introducing him. He's never first in line.
Yeah, I was like, I got him first. What do I do?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I was like, you know what? Nate's going to be first today.
I like it.
I like it.
And then
we don't make anyone mad.
Yeah, J-Man.
Hey.
All right. That's funny every time.
Love it.
So we're going to talk about the John Wick movies in a minute. But first of all, I know you guys will know, but for those who haven't or who aren't friends with me on Facebook, don't add me, by the way. I'm not interested. But if you are friends with me, I've just deleted so many people recently. But I was at the Comic-Con in Toronto last week, and I met Carl Urban, and we talked about Dread 2 and everything, and I got probably the coolest autograph ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
Cool.
I am the law, Carl Urban. And I was like, well, that's my life complete.
So that's going to be in the mail towards me soon, right?
No, it says Owen on there.
Oh,
You have to change your name, and you don't want to change your name to that.
I'll scribble that part out. Surely.
Just change it to that, yeah. But he like lives around here right now because he's filming The Boys in Toronto. So
Right.
Nice.
the whole cast were there. So that was awesome. So we met him, met Andy Serkis as well, chat to him, which is really cool. That's the second time I met Andy Serkis. Believe it or not, I met him 20 years ago.
Wow.
Nearly to the day, just before Return of the King came out, and I met him there. And both of us had dark hair then. We didn't have the white beards then. But that's what happens.
Little vintage added on. Don't tell me the Lord of the Rings was 20 years ago, man. I hate that. Stop
It's
it.
so depressing. They're still my favorite movies. Anyway, so new John Wick film, Chapter 4, came out last week. And it's at #1 in the box office, I'm delighted to say. And it was a real return to form for the R-rated action genre. So, we don't get too many on the big screen these days. So it was great to see it. And I'm going to be honest, it probably is one of the best action films I've seen for some time. It's beautifully shot. I mean, it's so gorgeous looking. I mean, nobody's going to tell me there are better looking action movies than the John Wick movies. I mean, they're stunning.
No.
They're like a synthwave music video, but brought to life.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it, honestly.
That's perfection. The end of the stream, everyone. Thanks
Yeah, that's what
You nailed it. I'm done.
Drops mic. But yeah, I mean, the only qualm I had with it was that it was too long, because I think everything's too long these days. It was more than 90 minutes. I'm like, I'm old, my knees hurt, I need the toilet.
Your knees hurt sitting?
Yep. I was like, oh, Sonny, I need to get up and walk around.
I had recliners in my theater.
Yeah,
man.
I had recliners.
I was
good to go.
kicked back. I was
Except
done.
for the jackass next to me who would occasionally move his, and you just hear the slow, audible.
I hate that. I wouldn't be able to do that. No, I can remember. We were in IMAX. And has ever anybody seen an IMAX and it's so loud that it actually makes your balls tingle? That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
was.
You saw the same IMAX I did, I'm assuming, right by my house, right? And it was like pulsing, like you're like, oh,
when he's punching the thing right in the opening scene, it's like,
God.
And I was like, kids.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed a little bit. I thought, is this a little bit? Have they gone too far on the sound here? Like, it's still a human hand punching a human being. It sounded like it was real steel.
Like Superman.
It was Tung Po, man. That's when he's kicking the columns.
Yeah,
that's what that was.
I want the ball.
Give me the ball.
Oh no. I mean, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I would say is that the problem was your supporting character, Donnie Yen, was arguably even more interesting and cooler than John Wick himself. He just totally stole the show. Like, anytime he's on screen, you're just like, damn it, Donnie, why'd you have to be so cool?
Is that like the fourth or fifth time he's played a blind master?
I know that's what I said.
Yeah,
Whenever
That's
I did
the
review,
only
I was
problem
like,
I have is like, can we please just give the man his vision again?
yeah,
I think they had to cripple him because he's obviously so much better than like Keanu Reeves. Like you think like, oh,
OP, I think they call it. Is that it? Like overpowered? Isn't that what they say? Is that
yeah, it's like
what
they
the
didn't
kids
want to.
say?
They tried to like, okay, he's too OP, so he's blind, and then that makes it more even. He's
The thing
basically
it was too
he's John
similar
Wick
to
2.
the Rogue One, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Your last mainstream Hollywood role was basically Rogue One and this, and you're playing a blind guy. Everyone's gonna think he's blind.
But you gotta think it this way: he had a ton of practice, so
Yes.
you buy it in this movie that he was a blind man. His mannerisms, his ticks, the little things he stumbles in this movie, which I was like, and it's not comical. It was like that's kind of what I expect. Okay, this guy's way too close. I hit the tray or something, but it was brilliantly done, though. Yeah, but I get you. He's been blind in almost everything I can remember now.
But I mean, it was so great. I mean, I love his name's Kane. I was like, Kane, and he's blind, is it really? But because apparently they changed the look. Initially, he was going to be more of a stereotype character and wear like Asian like collars and stuff like this. But he was like, no, why can't I be cool?
Everybody else is like suits.
Yeah, I saw that where he was like, "Give me a suit as well." Like,
yeah, why can't I be cool?
You're playing into a stereotype, and I don't want to do that. Which is like, good for you for standing up for yourself.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah, and the fact that he shouldn't have to say that. He's Donnie Yen.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're Donnie Yen. Come on.
Well,
now.
the other part, Nate and I, our buddy in our group chat goes, okay, well, they're really ramming it down our throat that it's the Cain and Abel story. Like Cain has to kill his brother, but I was still like, that's still kind of cool that if you think about it, Cain has to go kill.
That went over my head.
Nate's like, oh.
I found it problematic that I would consider them like, what were you doing when you were friends 20 years ago? Weren't you assassins? Like, did you guys hang out and go? Like, it's like they're like, oh, you're my friend. Drink. It's like, but what were you doing? Like,
you have a drink at the Continental.
That's or the Continental. That was how deep our friendship went.
He was friends with the guy in the first movie.
Kevin Nash.
Name just not Kevin Nash.
No, Marcus. Willem Dafoe.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe. Name just went out of my brain for a second. But they were like lifelong friends. And Dafoe had the drop on him, could have killed him and didn't. He saved him.
Yeah.
So
there's who's an evil bitch. She was great.
Love her.
Oh God.
Love hating her. She's so good.
Yeah. But I feel like you end up making connections and allegiances as well, probably at an arm's length. But I liked it, man. I like knowing that there was more to the story than just here's a coin, go kill. I like that whole history that they kind of dip a toe in.
Yeah. My thing was when I've watched all the movies, like I watched the first three over the past couple of days there, so they were all fresh in my mind because it's been a couple of years since I'd actually watched the first one, and it made me think nobody hates John Wick more than his friends. Like all of his friends, like Halle Berry and everything else, whenever they show up, they're always like total dicks to him. Like whenever she like takes the water in her mouth and spits it back into the bottle and is like, right, you can shoot her now.
Yeah.
That was probably my only favorite part with her because she's actually the only reason I don't really care for, her character in 2. I don't mind the
3.
character, or was it? Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
I don't mind the character. I don't like Halle Berry. I was just like, she's.
I think that's something I'll get into on my.
Yeah, I'm setting it up a little bit.
I'm gonna stay a little silent.
So this should be interesting because for me, like I there's no such thing as a terrible John Wick film. I think they're all entertaining movies. They're all great. So like even the one at the bottom is still a damn entertaining movie. So it's not like, oh, this sucks. I was like, no, I really enjoy all of them.
This is just putting them against each other. They're still miles above most other action movies.
Particularly the past few years. Yeah, I mean, really, John Wick reinvented the action genre whenever it was kind of getting a bit stale and there wasn't really much going on. Everything was ripping off the Bourne movies, and we're all like, there wasn't too much going on. But it brought this sense of style to the genre, which we really haven't seen before. And I love the whole world building of it. Like in the first movie, you sometimes forget how sort of low key and gritty the first one is, whenever I was watching it, I was like, it's still like maybe the most violent. Like whenever Marcus is getting tortured and things like that, the violence is more real rather than more cartoonish as it goes on later on in the movies. I mean, in the fourth movie, he's a cartoon character. I mean,
it's a superhero movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Part 4 is a superhero movie.
I actually yelled out "superhero landing" in the movie. Whatever.
When he fell down the stairs, I was I yelled out. I'm like, I hate restarting a level. It's like a video game. Exactly. Like, I gotta restart. I gotta restart the level. I messed up at the top, and now I gotta start it again.
I forgot to hit that save point at the top.
The save point. Yeah.
Because you mentioned spoilers alert. Spoilers. If you haven't seen John Wick 4, obviously do not watch any more of this because we are going to be going into serious spoiler territory, particularly with the fourth movie. So don't blame us if we ruin it for you.
Yeah. Go to the theater now. Right now. Do it.
Yeah, right now. Do it.
I'm sure most people saw it. You saw it by now.
Those that wanted to. I saw it on Friday. Like
I saw it on Thursday.
I said I was going. Well, I can't go at midnight, guys. I got kids. I got to find a babysitter. We literally waited till school started, went to the theater, so we had free babysitters for the
we had a 6:45 p.m.
screening. Yeah, in Canada we get a 6 o'clock day. So I'm seeing like Mario Brothers 5:30.
Well, Wednesday some jackass here in the States decided to shoot up a theater and ruined it for all of us.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that why they changed it? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was the Dark Knight Rises?
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. When that one happened in Colorado, like all the theaters went no more.
No more midnight showing, so it was like technically Friday, but it was Thursday night. I think it's like 11 or 11:30 they used to start it.
Yeah, usually.
I think independent ones will do it, but like the big chains like AMC and stuff like that don't do that here anymore. But
it's funny, the John Wick movies, we were just saying there, they're basically like video games. I mean, it's just him going through wave after wave of bad guys, and that's particularly what I was thinking as they've gone on, sort of more like that, because I'll get into this later. But what I love about the first movie is how like everybody's terrified of him. The bad guys are terrified of him, and like that's not something you see too often, where they're like, he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And it just
still by far one of the best scenes in movies, period.
Yeah,
I will rewatch that scene a couple times when I watch that movie because I just love how they sell it. John Leguizamo, perfect in that.
He's not in the first two movies. I forgot that he's not in 3 or 4.
He's not done with the car yet.
He's still working on the car.
Yeah, he never got the car back.
3 years.
2 and 3 is the same. It's hard. This is like Saw. Like it's like 2 and 3 are the same movie, kind of like
you get
John
mixed
Wick.
up. Yeah.
It's like they go right into each other, and then this one there's a little bit of a break. But the beginning of 2 is the ending of 1, kind of.
Yep.
Like it's just weird. Like almost like I don't know. There's
like a couple of week pass between 1 and 2. Then it feels like 2 and 3 is almost it is like right there because he's at the countdown, and we have no idea the time passage from 3 and 4, other than he's somewhat healed. That has to take some time. So
short rest
and the Bowery King are healed.
Some months through. To get where he is.
The way I see it is like part 1's kind of like the prologue, then 2, 3, and 4 the trilogy. Like,
yes, I agree with that.
That's definitely where 1 is like the opening chapter, the prologue, whatever you want to call it, and then 2 through 4 that's the contained story of John Wick. The first one's that introduction to the character, why he's so feared, and then we lead into the aftermath of that. I think that works so great.
Because it also could have been, say this movie flopped. After 1, the story could have been done. Yeah. It ended on a note. It would have been finished. And then later on, this would have been a cult classic. And we all would have went like, wow, it's great. But man, what would have happened if John Wick kept going?
Yeah.
But now they go, oh shit, people are really in for this. Like they had no faith in action, movies. Then they went, holy shit, we got something. And now they could elevate. And then we get, like you said, it's like horde mode, but every time it just got harder and harder and harder as it kept going. And 4 is literally just waves and waves and waves of bad guys. Not that that's bad.
No.
Yeah, when I was talking to Steve just prior to on the other stream, and I was saying like part 2 is really part 1 of a new series. It's like 1 is just a movie, and then part 2 is a part 1 because it's like you could just be like, okay, well, now it's him doing stuff that he has to do. Whereas the first one was like, he concluded his thing. He wanted to get his revenge or whatever. And then that's that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now you're starting a whole new series of events or whatever that kind of conclude in this one.
Which makes sense. I mean, I think they kind of lay into that themselves where it's I guess I am back. I am back now. So that was them dragging him in, even though reluctantly. 2 is you're back into this world. Right. Now let's show this world off. The other was more hushed, like, whoa, what's really going? There's like so much here. There was way too much to uncover in the first movie because it would have been a shit movie if you're just sitting there trying to explain how the high table works, how the hierarchy is.
Right.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
So I think this works perfect, like you said, Nate. Prologue, then the trilogy starts.
Yeah.
You know,
interesting fact is that the Continental prequel series. I think I mentioned this before. They're working on that just now. It was my idea, and I actually mentioned it to Keanu Reeves and the directors whenever I interviewed them in the first one, and I said, why don't you do a spin-off called the Continental and you show the hotel and everything? And David Leitch was like, I like where your head's at, man. He said, that's a good idea, and they have. So where's my check, David and Chad?
I was gonna say, is the check in the mail?
Yeah, hopefully. So we have a comment here.
Let's be honest. You'll be happy with a special thanks to Owen at the end of the credits of it. You know,
Forrest Wick. Mama said, "Stupid is as the table does."
Mark or Cody?
I don't know which one.
I know it's one of them though.
We had an ongoing gag of what if Forrest Gump was John Wick.
Yeah, you can voice record in the chat. So we were impersonating Forrest Gump as action characters at first.
Turns out Charlie can do a really good Forrest Gump.
Really can. Long live the king. I love it's both of them probably at this point. Yeah. I'm sorry. I still love the Bowery King, man. It's one of my favorite characters.
I'm going to be controversial and say, yeah, he's okay, but I think he overacts too much.
Yep.
I find him
opening the 4. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
dude.
I was like,
that was
just like tone it down. No. Nobody else is like overdoing it. Everyone else is kind of cool, but he's just overdoing it.
I wanted more. I was like, yes, this is the Bowery King I wanted. He is a king in his world. That is every bit of Lawrence Fishburne right there. I fucking love the opening. I was in a theater and I wanted them to rewind it so I could listen to it again. It was so good. I can't wait for the DVD.
I was just tired of my balls tingling, so I was like, okay, let's move on to the next scene. I'll give you 20 minutes to stop doing this.
Lawrence Fishburne made your balls tingle. How is that a bad thing?
That can't be a bad thing. I suppose he really is a Bowery King.
Well, this is a new sensation.
Lowering the tone now. Okay, so we're going to actually start the ranking now. I'll go first. So my number 4, which although is the weakest, I still enjoy it, is personally for me Chapter 2. I think has an awesome opening. I love the opening scene with Peter Stormare, however you pronounce it. I think that's the best part of the film. That's really cool. Love the fight scene with him and Cassian, which is maybe one of my favorite fights of the saga. But I find the villain is kind of forgettable and bland. And then after the opening scene, it's kind of boring for like half an hour of him sort of traveling around. But once he gets to Rome, I do love the scenes where he's getting tried out for like the suits and everything, and they're talking about something for innerwear or tactical and also
yes,
I love that whole scene. It's sort of expanding on the world, and you get Franco Nero, of course, in the cameo, which is awesome. So there's still plenty to enjoy with it, but yeah, I mean, I still really enjoy the movie, but just for the sake of having one at the bottom, that's what I would have my number 4.
Fair.
So Nate, what is your number 4?
For me, my number 4 is Chapter 3.
Interesting.
Yes. Here's the thing. All these movies are solid. I told Charlie and our friends, like, how lucky are we to live in this universe where we get 4 amazing John Wick movies. That should not happen. Usually the second one or the third one sucks. You get like an off one. You wait 20 years and then you get the reboot, the requel, whatever. So even putting 3 at last feels wrong, But if we would have seen 3 first, it would have been the greatest action movie ever made. The problem for me was it had to follow 1 and 2. Yeah. The only complaint I really have with 3 is the Halle Berry segment. I don't care about that storyline whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But that opening with the book fight is amazing. And then you instantly go into a knife fight. You go into people's necks getting broken by a horse. Then you go into a badass, motorcycle chase with the horse. Like, it is just boom, 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 boom. Then you get to like the ballerina stuff and the Halle Berry stuff, and I kind of lose interest. And I'm with Charlie. Like, I don't know if it's the character with Halle Berry I didn't mind, or if it's just the fact that it was Halle Berry. I don't know. Like, even after rewatching it again, I'm like, I still do not know what it is. It's just not fully clicking here.
Yeah.
And then even I feel like Bronn from Game of Thrones is kind of wasted, like, in his role. I was so excited to see him in chapter 3.
Yeah, it's like 45 seconds or something.
Yeah. But man, hell of a finale to it. Like, if it was up to me, I'd give it still like a 9.5,
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with 3. Like, it's unfortunate where it had to fall.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no bad entry. It's just just ranking. Like, for me, it's going to be which ones am I going to watch the most.
Yeah,
and that's the way I see it. So, Charlie,
right there with Nate. My bottom one is 3, and it is mostly because of the Halle Berry. I'm okay with the character. I'm actually okay with the backstory. I'm like, okay, she owes a debt to John, just like John owed a debt to the guy.
That was a cool balance.
I like that. I love the dog fight. That's probably one of my favorite fights in that movie. Is how uniquely they tied that in. I think I really just have a problem with Halle Berry as an actress. I really got thinking, like, what do I like her in? Has she ever been like? She's never really been in an action movie.
Catwoman,
Swordfish.
She's not. She doesn't do anything action in.
She gets topless. That's
exactly. That's her
5
only
stars.
memorable moment in Swordfish, and then she dies at the end of it. I love Swordfish. I think it's a great movie. But
I never saw Swordfish. Spoilers. I didn't know she died.
You've had plenty of time to watch that.
I haven't.
She died. So in a way, he just spoiled it for me again.
You both have had plenty of time. I've
seen it. It's been 20 years.
I've tried to do that movie on the show, and you have been hesitant every time.
I have an anti-John Travolta clause. You know that.
Oh man.
But it really comes down to her, and also I don't really understand the connection to the desert. Like, what is the point of that? I know they don't talk a whole lot about the high table, but that also just didn't even make any sense to me. Like, if you go to him, he will come to you when you are almost dead, and he will choose to find you. I'm just kind of like, okay. And then he shows up, cuts his finger off. It's done. They have a suit ready. I don't know. Just that part of 3 fell flat. Everything else about 3 is fantastic. I have to separate that out of it, and that's why it's at the bottom, because none of the other 3 have that much of a mass in the middle that I just want to be like, fix this. I don't
fights one of the dudes from the raid. It's awesome at the end.
I Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos on 0.
Mark Dacascos and basically twins of Al Leong, running around at the. I love the end. I love that whole set dressing in 3. 3 also really elevated the visuals, a lot of the neons, a lot of the colors. I liked the Russian part. I liked the whole thing with the ballerina, to get a tiny little backstory of John Wick, an orphan, Jordani. You have to, I will cash your ticket. And that when they brand him, I'm like, this is interesting as shit. And then it crashes till I get to the next action sequence. So 3 is my bottom.
It's interesting because somebody said the other day, I can't remember where it was, but they said he goes through all of that, and then at the end he hasn't really achieved anything, and he's sort of back at the beginning. And I was like, well, the guy even says that to him, I think, in the desert, and it says to me, says, you've gone all through this, he says, and you're back to where you started.
Right.
So you're sort of like, okay, well, what's the point of the movie then?
And they let him go, but he still has the bounty on his head. So until he was supposed to kill Winston, it wouldn't come off. But when you have people trying to kill you, how's he going to kill Winston? Like, shouldn't there have been like, we'll put a stay on the bounty on your head. If you don't complete this mission, it doubles or something.
The bounty's on pause.
Something, just anything.
Yeah. So, J-Man.
This is really tough actually, because they're all great action movies, but I
know what you're for.
When I go with my space rating system, basically artistry, characters, enjoyment get perfect scores for all 4 movies. So we're left with story and pacing. So I did all 4, and the only one, all of them scored between 9 and 10, except for this one. So I'm going with number 4 as the weakest. It's too long.
Oh.
It's too long.
It is too long.
It doesn't have the story to support the length. It also has the end of the road, plot conveniences. Why didn't you tell me this in part 2? Oh, I could just do a duel. Oh, could have used that info in part 2. But okay, glad I'm getting it now. And it's just like, I was like, so I had to ding it a little bit. It's just weird. I don't like everyone's friends. Like, I don't like Donnie Yen being the friend. It's like, just make him a badass guy. It's like, look, this guy's going to take care. I like Mark Dacascos better because he's like, I admire you. I always wanted to kind of like challenge you and stuff. That was super cool. To me, that was a better thing than, oh, we're friends, but we have to fight each other. But then we're kind of not fighting each other. I don't know. I felt like they thought Donnie Yen was so awesome that they didn't want to waste him and have John Wick just kill the guy.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
the thing. Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do.
Well,
yeah,
like
and I just felt that
setting up a larger universe at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
We know we're getting the ballerina movie that's going to be between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
we know we're getting the Continental series.
Yeah.
The end credit teaser of 4. Like, this is clearly like, I don't want to see a WCU necessarily, but we're definitely getting some sort of expanded Wick universe because these movies are making far too much money. And I'm all for it. I'm all for, these action movies making a ton of movie, because then like we're going to have that Sisu movie or whatever how you pronounce that coming out.
Oh yeah. I know the one you mean. Yeah, the World War II John Wick type thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what we were calling it.
We got Violent Night. We got Bullet Train. Like, it's all from the same production company. Right. So like,
I was really trying to
good stuff for us. This is nothing wrong with that. It's a little concerning of like, it's kind of like what those early Marvel movies would do, where it's like, you're not reaching your fullest potential because you're kind of waiting to set up the next thing.
Yeah.
That's
a big pet. I don't like that in the Marvel movies either. So that's my only thing. It's the only movie that it's a bit long. So I dinged it for 2 things. It's a little bit long. I felt there's a little bit of convenience with the story, where I felt the other movies had somewhat of a kind of a plausible story with enough action within a 2-hour time span that they all came together better than this is we got to expand this franchise. So let's start putting in a bunch of stuff. And it's like, why? Like, I could easily have a movie. Like, I don't need things to be set up. This is this whole new thing. It's not John Wick's fault. It's like, well, I can't comprehend a new character showing up. It's like, why not? Well, but what was their origin story? Who cares?
Like, you don't need, that was the beauty of, like, we never had an origin story for Marcus in the first John Wick. We didn't have origin stories for every. But let me ask you this, and you make perfect points, and I agree with them. But we also know now 4 and 5 were supposed to be filmed back to back, and because they changed that, do you think the fact that they tried to go, well, now let's make it one movie instead of 2? That this is kind of this is why we ended up at 2.5 hours almost, and why the story doesn't feel as well put together, because it's like, well, we need this and this,
right?
Because I'll say it now, I think 4 ends ambiguously enough that if this is it,
right,
everyone's happy, but they have the option to.
Of course, they have the option. I immediately, as soon as it was over, I'm like, oh, we know what could easily happen.
These are the spoilers, by the way, everybody.
We said it. But I was actually telling the group chat, I fully expected the final end post credit scene was when she has the knife getting ready to go towards Donnie Yen. I expected a hand to grab her arm.
Yeah,
and it didn't even have to show. Who it was.
They could still do that though. Like,
and they can start the
right.
One
they actually
right
can,
there.
Yeah.
But I was expecting that because I never felt complete when he falls over and then we're at the headstone.
No, you see, you don't see a funeral, you don't see a body, and because I was saying to Ed, I had this debate. I was like, why did No Time to Die annoy me the way this movie didn't, and I thought because No Time to Die, he's fucked. He was like blown up, and that was it. And I was like, okay, you just killed my favorite movie character for no reason. But for me, if John Wick is dead, I have no problem with that because that's the only way his story can really end. Like it's always been foreshadowed throughout.
And they have,
like,
they've said that.
I mean, even in the fourth one where they're like with Donnie Yen, where he's like, "I'm out," like, and they're like, "No, we can bring you back whenever."
Yeah, you're
so
right,
even with if he is, you know, alive and out, like they'll just bring Wick back whenever they need to. That's why the fifth movie needs to be him finally taking out the high table, which even though they said like it doesn't matter, you kill one, another replaces it. They're like Hydra, but that needs to be the ultimate end goal is him taking down the entire infrastructure.
Yeah, they
it seemed like it was going to
destroying it, and that was the thing. And that was the thing. They changed. One is that they didn't really do that. It was sort of like continued on where he's being chased. And I was like, I thought you were going after the high table. Like, what the fuck happened?
That's what I'm saying. They saw the dollar signs. Oh, we got to continue this because if the high table's gone, that's it. Right. So the John Wick takes him out.
The shift needs to be if they do the fifth, we actually go back to him being the Baba Yaga. We get back to John Wick 1, where in hushed tones, like they hear things and they're like, no, he's dead. And he truly becomes the boogeyman. And that's how he takes down the high table. But that can only be
spiritual powers. He should be like the Punisher when the Punisher had those ghost weapons and he could pull them out. Remember that? Remember that series?
In 3, he was doing a disappearing act, which I thought was kind of badass. You know,
he's like Batman as well. So
he was stop doing that. What I'm here.
Here. So anyway, is that all you have to say, Jay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll move on to my number 3, and for me, it is Chapter 3, Parabellum. Like visually stunning. I think it looks amazing. Like they all do. What else do I have? I love Mark Dacascos as Zero, but I think he's underused, and this is sort of a problem with the series in general until the fourth movie, is that I feel that the villains are never really given that much to do. I would prefer to have, like, particularly in 2 and 3, I would think the villains would have been better. The first one I love because I love Michael Nyqvist, and then you got Daniel Bernhardt and everything, which I'll get to. But 3, it's funny. I love the dogs and everything, but there is something about the Halle Berry sequence that just feels tacked on, and I was like, this really isn't necessary. I just feel like you were wanting to set up a potential spin-off, kind of like what they did with Die Another Day, but nobody really wants a Halle Berry spin-off. Sorry, Halle.
I forgot.
But no.
and that's wrong, because remember there's going to be the Jinx movie. They talked about
no one cares.
Nobody cared. So, but yeah, I mean, you got Tiger Chen in that opening fight scene as well, as one of the goons he fights in the room where he's building the gun, the opening scene.
Oh, I love that.
Love that scene. But he kills the guy with a book, which is actually my favorite kill of the entire franchise and one of my favorite kills like ever. I just think it's amazing. He's just like, you just watch the guy's neck break. I love that. So that was awesome. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But I always remember how I felt. And this was the thing. How did I feel when the end credits rolled? And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, that's the end. And that's what I thought.
Right.
So now I've got to wait a few years. What was it, like 4 or 5 years? Because
it was something like that.
Because of COVID, it delayed it past like an extra 2 years or some shit.
And then you watched it again. And I'd actually wish I'd watched the first 3 movies last week before seeing 4 again, because I was like, oh wait, was this mentioned before? I just was a little rusty on it. But you got Yaya and Ruhian from The Raid, which is awesome. And I love he and the other guy whose name I forget, sorry. But the two of them are sort of honorable, and he doesn't kill them.
I love that.
It's like,
I love that
or whatever. So, there's still plenty to enjoy in 3. I do enjoy it. Mostly because I love Mark Dacascos, and I think he's awesome. Particularly whenever he's a bad guy. I just wish there'd been more of him. Yeah, I think that's it for part 3 for me, because we've all covered everything else. So we all laughing.
We're not laughing at Owen.
No, we're not laughing at Owen.
Well, everyone needs to be paying attention to
I meet the lady from Home Alone 2 and we fall in love. Yeah, but I think that'd be good.
I didn't see Home Alone 2.
What?
I skipped Home Alone 2. I liked part 1 a lot, and I was like, how'd they leave him home alone again? I'm like, I'm done.
He got on a different plane. Sorry, I spoiled it. My bad.
You can spoil that one. That's a bullshit.
Like,
that's a
he
bullshit.
should be taken off him because they're obviously negligent parents. I mean,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
The first time was cute. The second time is negligence. It's like,
the second time is prison.
Yeah, it's like, no.
All right, Nate, what's your number 3?
It pains me to do this because once again, they're all perfect almost. It's part 4. I didn't necessarily have any problem with the length because I was having such a fun time with it. Like, that runtime kind of flew by for me. I didn't even have to use the restroom, during the middle of the movie, which is pretty impressive to say. The cinematography is gorgeous. That shot of the cherry blossom tree and John Wick just staring there is peak cinema for me. Like, the representation of the cherry blossom, what is about to unravel, having Scorpion there to, be his refuge. Oh, it's so good. And then like the stunt work is insane. That one dude that falls off the escalator and, seeing the actual clip of him doing that, it's just like, that man should be dead. Like he should have just died from that. The little stuff like Kane, like Cody and I were just losing it when after he shoots his gun in order to see if it's empty, him sticking his finger into the chamber to realize, oh, it's empty. When John Wick, and him are going up the stairs, Wick kills a guy and Kane is still shooting to the left, not realizing that guy is already dead. Now there is some stuff like with that whole end sequence. Maybe John Wick should have just went to bed until it was 8 a.m. or maybe 7:30, give him enough time to get a bagel and go to the duel. Like, if he would have just not left the subway, I don't think they would have found him, and he would have not had to go on such a rampage.
True,
but I'm glad he did, because I do feel like 4 took the best parts of 2 and 3 and combined them into one movie. But that said, I think they took a script of 4, a script of 5, blended it together to give us, that's why it's a 3-hour-long movie. You probably took a 2-hour script and a 2-hour script, and you condensed down what you could. I mean, the original cut of the movie was 4 hours long. Yeah. And even Chad was like, oh God, we're screwed. Like, there's no way. Like, we fucked up. But the biggest complaint with it is just the ending. Like, I don't think that's a fitting end for John Wick. Like, we even said, I think yesterday in our group chat, maybe at least have a puppy lick his face, like have it come back around, like
some kind of full circle.
That saying like loving husband on the end, like maybe not even have John Wick say that, just like have the camera reveal that's what's on the tombstone. That way you get that a little bit more of an emotional pull.
Yeah, have Winston stand there and go, it was the only thing I thought that would work. Nothing leading up to
exactly.
Dad, like when he says "Dos Vidania, my son," and I was like, "Wait, are you his dad?" Or is he
that was kind of ambiguous. Where it's like,
are you just
saying that
but
as like a father figure?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. But man, there's
a father figure
denying...
who shoots their son at the end of part 3. But anyway,
right? And who gets over that? Once did John Wick say anything to him. Like, hey, bro, what was up with that? Why did you shoot me? Never says anything.
He falls, and then he like bangs off several things and it smacks off the concrete. And I was like, that motherfucker's dead. He's dead.
So dead.
He's dead. He's dead.
And then he's sort of like
falling.
Whoa! And you're going to be worse than that.
Now, I will say, 4 has one of the best choreographed action scenes that I have seen in a long ass time, and it's that dragon's breath scene.
Yes, that's an amazing scene.
That top down scene, like the way
that was awesome.
Done,
God, it was so
that
good.
Is gorgeous. I mean, this movie had me audibly cheering. So even to put it in 3rd feels so violently wrong. But God, what a series. That's all I got for 4.
Yeah, I mean, there is no bad one. That's the thing. There are no losers here. Charlie.
This is, again, I think we're all going to say this is where we've all struggled the most is because in all reality, all 3 of these tie, in my opinion, with one being slightly more than others. But I'm going to go 2 in my number 3 spot. And it's not anything that I have to really ding about part 2. Maybe what Owen had said about a few things where the opening is fantastic. I love that entire thing with Peter Stormare, the whole car. It's basically a car fight. and it's amazing. The bad guy, I'm not threatened by him at all. John Wick should have been able to snap that dude's neck in.
He's a rich asshole. Like,
yeah,
I don't think he's meant to be intimidating like his henchmen are, you know?
Yeah, but even then, I feel like the one, what's
the mute
something
Ruby Rose?
Ruby Rose. I kept wanting to say Amber Rose. Ruby Rose, I thought she looked cool. She had no presence on screen with me.
I liked Common more, I think.
I loved Common in that. There was a lot of great things. I think the difference is I have more great things in my number 2 than I have for part 2. So yeah, it's just something about, I was happy there was another John Wick. I mean, I'm there for it. Nothing like I can just grab and go, I didn't like this. Like I have for 3. 3 is my obvious last one, because I can go, here is what my problem is, fix it. 2 is just like, hard to put a finger on, but I like these other ones a little bit more than this one. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So
fair enough. Jake?
Okay. I mean, this is tough, and the only reason 4 was last was because I didn't need it to be as long. I want to point out the nunchucks. I love nunchucks. So the second there was nunchucks, that was the best. The nunchucks and the over the head view, which there's the Judge Dredd game, which I'm sure Charlie played, the Judge Dredd versus Zombies. It's exactly that game. I was like, oh my god, it's the Judge
you can
Dredd
see
game.
in each room.
Yes. Yeah, that's the game, right? Anyway, okay, so you know what?
Bingo.
That's it right there.
Yeah,
she was trending at the time.
Right.
I think, wasn't that right before she started doing?
It was right after Orange is the New Black.
Well, she did Orange is the New Black. Wasn't she
right before Batwoman?
She was cast, but we hadn't seen it yet when this came out. So she was like the new hotness. She just fell flat for me. Not as bad as Halle Berry though.
Right. I'm gonna say 3, I guess. I really like part 3 a lot though. To be honest. I don't like Halle Berry, as you guys have all said. That's probably my only problem, but her fight was wicked with the dogs in control. Yes. It was like Shadow Dancer, Shinobi, right? I'm like, you're controlling the dogs. I don't know. I think 3 is kind of a masterpiece, really, but it's crazy that I'm saying, it's crazy that we're ranking these against each other.
I know.
As a series, it's a masterpiece. Even part 4. Like they're all masterpieces. Like in my mind, when 4 is the weakest, when 4 is the weakest movie in your series, that's astronomical. Like,
that's like, what Nate was saying.
I feel about 3. Like,
right. It's like, this is the worst. Like,
really?
If I showed someone John Wick 4 and said, by the way, this is the one I think is the weakest, they're like, whoa, holy shit, what the hell are you talking about?
I would love to show these movies to someone backwards. That way they'd be like, yeah, this is the worst one.
This is the worst one, right?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I still think 3 is a masterpiece. I have 0 negatives. Just what Charlie, I guess Halle Berry, like, I have to pick it apart. So I have to pick the pacing apart for part 4. I have to. And the story to me was wonky with the duel. It's like, you can do something better. Those 2 things. For 3, it's the Halle Berry, just that part. I don't buy her as someone who is this character. Like, I understand the character they're presenting, but I don't believe that John Wick would have had dealings with her and that she owed him. Like, I don't buy how that went based on Halle Berry.
And she's like basically equal with Winston.
Right. I don't buy that.
I didn't buy that at all
I didn't buy that at all.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think the pacing's pretty good. Obviously artistry, characters, and all that stuff. All my ratings are perfect. It's just that. So I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 10 if I'm talking to someone. If I'm doing comparative, I would say 9.5 out of 10. Fair. So number 3 is the third weakest. Like,
I mean, really. So for my number 2 is chapter 4. So I think pretty much everyone's number 1 is going to be the same. I'd be surprised if it's not. But
you're going to be surprised.
Watch Jay, man.
Yeah, you're going to be surprised.
So yeah, it's too long, and I think the first half is like some of the best action cinema I've ever seen, and the second half is okay, but I think the second half doesn't quite match the first half. I think maybe it could have been split into 2 movies. I think it maybe would have been better, but It's still gorgeous. We haven't mentioned Scott Adkins yet as Killa. It's one of his best ever roles. He's fantastic. It's sort of like the Penguin or something. And I love how he's got the grill from Avengement back in, which is a nice little nod. And I just love every moment. I love how he and John Wick are having this like huge fight, and nobody stops dancing. Like people are being shot and thrown around, and everyone's still just like dancing. I'm like, there's people like dying next to you, right? And they're like, I don't care, I'm dancing.
Ecstasy's a hell of a drug, man.
That was 2 weeks ago.
So yeah, but I mean, that's maybe one of my favorite scenes. And the thing is with the fourth movie is that there's so many scenes that I love in it. Like there's the Dragon's Breath scene. There's that scene. I love all the stuff in Osaka, and the opening is just gorgeous. Every scene of that. And then it's is it Hiroyuki Sanada? Is that the actor's name?
Scorpion. We just call him Scorpion.
Yeah,
we just call him Scorpion. Yeah. I mean, he just brings just gravitas to everything. He just makes every movie better. He's just fantastic. There's almost too many characters. I thought, although the character was cool, the tracker guy, what's his name? Nobody. I like to call him Nobody.
He should have been Nobody. He should have been the real Nobody. That would have been awesome.
That would be cooler. Yeah.
If it was Nobody, I'd be like, oh my god, this is the best. That would have been number one then. But
yeah. If you'd had Bob Odenkirk in that role, that would have been quite awesome. But
hey, Nate, who else says something about Nobody in the John Wick
might have
universe?
said something like that.
Maybe.
The thing was, it's another guy with a dog, and I was like, did you just do it with Halle Berry in the last movie?
That is my only issue. I'm like, did we really need the dog? Like, it's cool. Like, this one's like sick balls, you know?
Yeah. But what's really the point of that character anyway? Because like, then during the duel, he's just like sitting there watching it all at the end, and like, so why was he in this? Really, there's not really any reason.
I still question whether he's even in that inner circle. Like, they never even comment. Like, no one knows who he is. He does say he's Nobody. He's
Wick
listed
as Tracker.
He's listed as his name in IMDb as Tracker.
Yeah.
But he's also, his suit isn't bulletproof. He just has the backpack that deployed, which was badass. That was like straight up He-Man or G.I. Joe or something.
No, he's Law and Order. He's Law and Order.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
He's from G.I. Joe.
Dog and
he's the dog. Literally, Sean turns to me, it's Law and Order. I'm like, I know I caught that. I got onto that.
Yeah. But yeah, he almost feels slightly out of place in it. His gun, however, does not feel out of place. That thing is bad.
That was badass. Yeah.
Hey, Shamir Moore, isn't that the actor's name?
Yeah.
I mean, he's awesome. He's a cool character, but I just thought, he didn't really need to be in this one. It was just, we already had so many new characters. It could be argued that there were maybe almost too many characters in this one. But even then, I'm just trying to nitpick things out my ass just to say something about it. I enjoyed every minute. I love Bill Skarsgård as the villain. I thought he was probably the nastiest villain in the series, and he has proper screen time in it where you hate him enough. But one thing I love, which we haven't mentioned too much though, is like I love the sense of humor these movies have. Like all of them, it's sort of like kind of dark humor at times, but there are just moments that are just like really funny. Like I love whenever Winston is going to meet with the Marquis, the Bill Skarsgård, and he's walking through the museum, and he's like walking, and it's like 30 seconds of just walking along the museum, and it's just like walking and walking and walking, and it's like you could have cut it, but no, you're keeping that in. And it just made us laugh. That was so funny. So I enjoyed that. And then in the third movie? Yeah, in Casablanca. And then whenever he just arrives there and the guys are all about to attack him, and the guy's like, no, he's okay to go past. And then John just like slowly hands the guy the knife back, and he just takes it back and it just moves off screen. I just love these little moments where they could just stop anytime.
It's not slapstick, but there's comedy.
Yeah, there's subtle comedy, and that's what I like. Also love seeing Marco Zaror have such a huge role as well in this. In part 4, I thought he was awesome. So, I mean, 4 is great. The only qualm I had was it was a bit long. Second half wasn't quite as exciting, but I definitely don't think he is dead at the end. It's too open. They can just be like, no, this is just his plan so everyone thinks that he's dead, so no one's going to be after him anymore, so he can live in peace in the mountains somewhere. But then in the next movie, Donnie Yen's going to find him and be like, I need your help with something or some shit, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows? There's so much they can do with that anyway. But yeah, I think Chapter 4 is Probably my second favorite, probably, but I don't know. It could change next time. It's just I love them all. So anyway, so Nate, what's your number 2?
For me, this is where it feels weird. A lot of it's based on mood. I think I've seen this one the most, honestly, maybe, but it's part 2. A lot of it was just being blown away that we got a sequel that worked.
Yeah.
That should not have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like part 1 is God tier of action movies. Like there for a moment, it was just like, well, if action movies, we have Fury Road and we have John Wick. And then part 2 comes out and it's like, holy shit, they pulled it off. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. We've already talked about the opening scene. For me, yeah, it does. It takes like a 20-minute, 30-minute slowdown until you get to Rome. But I was just so in awe of seeing more of this world being crafted and what these movies do so well of showing you and not telling you. So you don't get everything. You don't have all this exposition. And like, I don't feel like any scene is wasted because you're just like, oh, okay. So that's what's going on, with like, whatever the hell it was called with the blood stamp or whatever. I can't remember right now.
The marker.
The marker. Yes. But leading the Rome and that underground shootout, when he pulls out the Benelli and he's using that shotgun to just blow away people, the common fight in the street, it almost feels like Three Stooges in a way, like where it is just so like using the environment to where they crash through onto that continental grounds. It's like, nope, can't do it. So it's just that like ultimate respect, down to like, where we get to introduce to the Bowery King and how much it will cost John for 7 bullets, and someone get this man a gun, and that leading into he instantly used those 7 bullets right out the gate. And it's just like, pick up this gun, use it, pick up this gun, use it. You get incredible stunt work of people falling off steps. Like it's almost like this, like you can see this movie as the prototype to lead to 3 and 4. But I just think it's such a tightly knit action movie that it blows my mind. And it like, I absolutely adore that at the very end, it's just him walking up and shooting that guy like, nah, fuck it. I'm done. Come after me. This is worth it. This guy was a prick in my ass. Fuck this dude. I'm over it. You guys are going to come after me regardless. So bring it on.
He didn't want in anyway. It was like the big middle finger to the high table too.
Yeah. It was such a hard ass way to end it. And plus John Wick gets a dog again. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I just, something about 2 and just like those color palettes, like they are just so gorgeous. And hearing the rev of that car's engine in the very beginning. Oh, like this is one of those like few movies where like when I did have my projector set up into my room, like I was just throwing John Wick 2 on there because I was just like, cool, I get to watch John Wick 2 on my bedroom wall.
Awesome. Actually, I forgot to mention this about the third movie, sort of a third and fourth movie. One thing which annoyed me, that adjudicator woman never got killed. Like oh god, I hate her so much.
Oh, I love the adjudicator woman. I love her. The second she appeared, I was like, oh, she's gonna be such a fucking bitch. I love her so much.
Yeah, she was great at that.
I love her. Her walking around with her face. Oh my gosh, she's so good.
She's so good.
But she got thrown away. She got thrown away in the fourth one.
That's what I was I'm saying. I wanted to see her come back in part 4.
Yeah, they literally disregard what she set up at the end of 3.
Yeah, it's like, what we said though, where you got so many characters because, like, as far as I'm concerned, Common's still alive because. We gave him a courtesy. Yeah. He didn't do that for Ruby Rose's character, Right. Yeah, like he made sure that she was going to die, but I was fully expecting Common to come back in part 4 when he wasn't in 3. I was like, he's still got some sort of vendetta, or maybe he'll team up with Wick. Like
instead of the tracker, they could have brought him in.
They could have
to fit that role.
Totally would have worked.
I'm telling you, part 4. I'm the only one part 4 has things. If you start to think about it, it's like, anyways.
That's fair though when you're dealing with a 3-hour-long movie and like it's not a Lord of the Rings movie.
Oh fuck, who are we on?
I've been keeping track. So
Charlie,
it's me. And my second one's going to be part 4. Like we've said. like I think Nate said it, I didn't feel like I was in a 2.5 hour long, almost 3 hour long movie. It flew by for me. So much was happening. I actually really enjoyed the storytelling in between the fights. You know, I loved everything with Scorpion and Kane. I know we're going to keep calling him Scorpion. I don't even remember his name.
Scorpion,
in the movie.
dude. Come on
Scorpion. I like the whole thing with his daughter, you know, where she's like scared to death that they're going to come kill him.
That was touching, right?
That was. Speaking of touching, it's the only John Wick movie I about near, you know, damn near cried at the beginning of it when all of a sudden Lance Reddick dies in the movie.
Oh, and then particularly because it's in real life.
Lance Reddick. Like I not knowing that was happening in this movie, and I was just like, fucking no way. Although I think what a fucking send off. You know, I mean,
right?
They
what
all
a way to go.
basically got to, you know, have this moment with him, and not like, well, we'll do it in 5 and we'll talk about it. No, this was eerie. And I had goosebumps in the theater. Like I looked at Jackie going, there's no fucking way. And she's like, holy shit. So that, I mean, a movie already had me grabbed from that moment on. But yeah, everything in Osaka with Scorpion, that fight, every fight in John Wick 4 felt like a final fight in every other action movie.
I agree with that.
It was unsurmountable odds. You know, you even had Kane and Scorpion having to fight each other. That felt like the end of a movie. You know, every time, you know, John Wick fought Scott Adkins, that's the end of an action movie. When Scott Adkins does a jump fucking spin kick in that fat suit, and it's out of nowhere, you're like not expecting him to play up this character. You know, you're like, okay, you see him running and he runs fucking funny as hell. But you know, I'm like, I'm still laughing because I know what Scott Adkins looks like. So to me, it's funny. Then they get into the altercation and he jumps up in the air and kicks John Wick. And I'm like, fucking hell, this changes everything. And they actually go to blows. I love that fight. There's not a fight in part 4 that I don't love. Like,
who wore it better, Brandon Fraser or Scott Adkins? I'm just joking.
Oh my God.
Stop it.
Listen,
I haven't seen the Brendan Fraser one. It's just I just don't want to see that because I know it looks sad. I'm like, well, I don't want to watch.
It is sad.
I
watched it. It's sad.
It's going to bum you out.
I don't want to be bummed out. I want to watch John Wick movies.
I love being bummed out. Bring it on.
But there really isn't anything in part 4 that I can nitpick that much. Like I get the small nitpicks, like why did we never use the rule for, you know, the duel? Well, he never had enough time for Winston to think of it because Winston thinks of it in this movie. And John Wick goes, that's a myth. And he's like, no, it's not. And it almost like everyone else had to remember, oh yeah, that's a thing we fucking do here.
Oh, they had it set up pretty fast though. It's like 2 seconds there that they all you had to do it. You're like, okay.
Oh, Clancy in this movie. I fucking love the Harbinger.
Well, Clancy Brown makes everything better. Yeah.
He is just this low-key character that even the Marquis respects. You know, like even Clancy's like when they're in the horse stall, and Clancy's respectful of him, but he's speaking his mind to him.
Right.
And even towards the end that he's hosting it all. And I wish it had been the Marquis versus John Wick. And the Marquis tried because he wanted duels with swords.
Yeah.
But John drew the higher number for pistols. So that means that, you know, maybe he was going to use Kane, but we also see there was a lot of fencing going on, you know, around him. So you would have to imagine that's his specialty.
Yeah, it's his strong suit.
Exactly.
I love that none of us have mentioned Clancy Brown until now. That's how you know 4 is that fucking good though. Yeah.
Well, it's like I just now got to 4.
There's just so much shit to digest in that movie. It's like I need to see it again. You know, all of us have only seen it once, and it's just like, this week, and I got to find 3.5 hours to go to the theater again.
Also, like Walmart are releasing this gorgeous looking 4K set of the 4th movie. Is it? Well, that's mine. I'm gonna have to pre-order it because I've got the other ones in like a box set of the 3 of them in 4K, and the 4th one in 4K is going to look amazing. So that's a must-have.
That's why Nate and I were talking about this, I think earlier, that there's this like nice 3 box set.
There's
and it's
a
like
steel book set from Best
but
Buy.
I want a full four
yeah.
one set. Like,
and
if
it's
I'm
like,
gonna do it,
and I'm gonna buy that 1 through 4, but then they're gonna release part 5 because it's just gonna
Right.
fucking happen. And I'll be like,
or the
"God damn it!"
ballerina, or something else is gonna get added.
Right.
They just want to shake us upside down. But yeah, I actually did like where he typed down there. How hyped did you get when Scott revealed the 5 of a kind hand? Because you're sitting there going, like, everyone's gotten like the best hand. Like, how are you gonna win? And it's like, were you expecting him to do that? Oh yeah, I was fully expecting him to do that.
No, I love Kane going, did he have 5 of a kind?
Yeah, he's a blind guy, and because I like how that's the beauty of Donnie Yen in that was he was just playing it like, really, you're gonna make the blind guy play cards, and he has the hand out, and he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here?
I love how he goes like this and pretends to look at them.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's like, oh, let me lay them down so everyone else can see what I have. I love the nuance he added to it, even though, I think it's valid that he's always played a blind character, but I think it's to a strength in this movie.
Yeah.
And I like the duel. It was an interesting way to do it, because I figured when they said pistols, it was going to be like, John Wick got that scorpion. Like, how did you get this? Where do you? And he keeps going back and picking up the gun when he drops it, like when he's in the car in the circle. So I was like, oh, you get to use your own gun in the duel. I'm like, no, you get one shot, boom, single shot, pistols. And I dug it. I like the whole aspect of Winston being added as his second. And if John Wick fails and dies, you die. There was just so many layers to it. And I'll agree with what Nate just said. This is one of those we've all only watched once, and I cannot wait to watch it again and dig deeper into things. We've missed stuff. There's stuff we overlooked and didn't click right away.
We haven't even talked about the giant, fight at the end where it's at the big circle there in Paris.
Yeah.
And we're seeing people get hit, and he's still shooting them as they're in the air. It's just
And he gets hit by cars like 5 times and is still standing. I'm like, how is you're dead?
Because he's a superhero.
And my favorite thing from this movie series is I've now designated their fighting style as the Dracula. Just
just my Dracula protects me.
My collar up to protect my face, and everyone does it. They have all studied this fighting move.
They've all got bulletproof suits. Yeah, which is
I love the giant dude.
But I love it.
It is ludicrous.
The Marquis henchmen are badass in this movie. The gray suit guys, one guy's just a freaking giant of a dude that keeps making it to the end.
Yeah, Marco Zora.
Is that Marco Zora?
Yeah, that's Marco Zora. He's awesome.
God, I love that.
Watch a movie called Redeemer. It's fucking awesome. It's really good.
Ooh, I'll have to watch that.
I
liked him. I liked him a lot in this movie. Yeah. I like a good henchman. You need a good almost no-name henchman in a movie, and John Wick movies do that. They pull them off.
Yeah, if this was the 80s, Al Leong would definitely have made an appearance.
Oh, definitely.
I'm telling you, man, we basically got the twin Al Leongs in the third one, and I still say it. I think they modeled themselves after him too a little bit. Like, I'm sure that's not a dig at them. They'll take it as a compliment.
Oh no, Ali Ong is the greatest henchman of all time. I mean,
100%. He's our patron saint of the podcast. It's how many Al Leongs does this action movie get? That tells you how important that man is to action movies.
He actually replied to a message once on Facebook. Because I wanted to know if he wanted to do an interview a few years ago, but he had a stroke, I think, a few years ago, so he can't really perform.
He doesn't. It's hard for him to talk. I've gotten a message from him before on his birthday, but I've talked to Gerald Okamura, which is like the second best henchman. That guy's actually kind of cool. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. I've totally lost tracks. J-Man now, isn't it?
Yeah.
J-Man. Okay. J-Man's up.
My third favorite is part 1. It's 10 out of 10. I don't really have any complaints. I just like the other one better. Nate made the case for it already, but I will I will say it again in my own when it comes around. So there's nothing to say. I love part 1. I thought it was awesome. I saw it in the theater. I was like, this is awesome. It's 10 out of 10. I bought it. Then I bought it again on 4K or whatever. Like, I got the Blu-ray, then I got the 4K. And I was like, wow. And then they're like, we're making part 2. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. So now when I talk, well, part 2 is my favorite since you could process of elimination. We can see
what.
So yeah, I'll get to my part 2 thing after. But yeah, I like part 1. There's nothing negative to me. It's this thing where it's like, I like Raiders. I like Friday 13th part 1. I like I like Superman 1. There's all these part 1s I like, but then the sequels I kind of like more. For Predator 1, I like Predator 1, but I kind of like Predator 2 more. So it's between the first 2 of these movies is really hard. I'm just literally going by the whatever things I kind of like more. Part 1 is 10 out of 10. I have 0 negatives to say about it. So fair. I'll just pass on that when we come back, and I'll tell you why I think part 2 is the best.
Okay. So it's off to me then. So number 1. So my favorite is obviously John Wick part 1. The first one. To me, this is easily the best because nice short runtime, hour and 40 minutes. It's the shortest of them, which is perfect. I love that. Daniel Bernhardt is the best henchman of the saga. As Kirill, love him in it. The nightclub scene is probably still my favorite action scene of the series as well. I just love, because we hadn't seen any of this before, and this is the thing which you forget. Once you forget the sequels, this one came first, and whenever you see him taking all those headshots and everything, and techno music is coming out, and he's just being totally badass, and I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's so awesome. There was a sense of style to it, and this has introduced us to the Continental, and when you watch it, your imagination just starts running wild, and that's where I came up with the idea for the series. And I was like, I would love to see more of what goes on in the Continental. You could just spin off all these different hitmen, see what's going on, and I just thought there was so much potential there, which we shall see. Theon Greyjoy, fuck that guy. I thought he was a suitably hateful bad guy, and I'll never get tired of watching him get his ass beat in this movie. Yeah, I mean, I love every minute of this movie, and that's why it's my favorite. You got Willem Dafoe as Marcus, who's people just always forget that he's sort of in this franchise. And I don't know, he was a great character, total hero, saved John Wick a couple of times. So Marcus is great, and then I love Perkins as well. I think she's just a great hateful villain, and I just love the way she's disposed of it at the end as well. And then, we never mentioned this actually. Both the first movie and the fourth movie, of course, have the reference to the Warriors.
Yes,
David Patrick Kelly, of course, is in the first one. Love that. The first one to me has the best script of all of them. Evening, Jimmy. Evening, John. You working again? I just cleaned some stuff up. Well, I'll leave you to it then. And I just love it. Just the cops, just like leave them to it, and that's why you never see the cops interfere with the rest of the movies. They're like, okay, this is a different world. We just leave them to it, and that's the thing. So love all that. You got David Patrick Kelly there, and then of course the fourth movie, you've got the female DJ doing the narration, and that's just pure out of the Warriors. And
then they play the song too. It's like, and then she's updating it. She's saying boppers. I'm like, this is not a homage. This is the exact.
They're straight up just.
This is straight up the dialogue.
Yeah. But I mean, Chad Stelsey said he's a huge Walter Hill fan, and I was like, well, who isn't? Yeah, Walter Hill's good.
Welcome to the club, guy. You were here first.
Number one, easily my favorite. Absolutely love it. And also, there is the thing where I got to interview Keanu and the directors for this one, so it has that special place in my heart there. Or
it should.
Understandable. When Keanu walked in the suit, he's actually dressed as John Wick, and he came in. He's like, "Hey guys," and I was like, "Whoa, it's Keanu!" and that was awesome. Literally, you could do a drinking game for this franchise where anytime he goes, "Yeah," you could take a shot and you'd be on your back within. But because like in the fourth movie, that's pretty much all he says is like, "Yeah," or "I'm gonna need a gun." And that's about it. But
I think they said they cut his dialogue down.
Yeah,
where he's
he cut it down. He went no.
He cut it down. He needs to stay less.
Well, this action star, says very little. He's just got to be the lone hero who says very little. So that's it. So for I'm just going to do a little shout out just now. So for Preston, the samurai guy, for this weekend, my ranking of the John Wick franchise is number 4 is John Wick Chapter 2. Number 3 is John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Number 2 is Chapter 4. And number 1 is John Wick. I just love the original movie, but all movies are awesome. So thank you. So there we go. So I'll edit that and add that over to him. So that's my ranking. So over to you, Nate.
It's part 1. Mainly, like, this came out of left field. Like, you got to think, 2014, Keanu Reeves, I was not expecting much.
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest, when I saw that the storyline was man has his dog killed and he goes on a rampage, I'm like, all right, like that'll be fun, but like I'm gonna wait. Like I'm not like right before this he had done was it The Man of Tai Chi, and I was like, I was kind of disappointed with that one. It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't watch 47 Ronin. The Day the Earth Stood Still, whatever the hell it's called. I didn't care. You know, I literally thought I was like, Keanu's done. Like I have no desire. And then I remember renting the Blu-ray at Redbox, and like everything changed. Like, you know, it's like one of those moments where you get to see history being made where it's like, holy shit, like these guys have done something on a whole new level. And then like seeing like the story is simple, but it's so heavy. It's so deep. Like if there's so much beauty to it. It's like, nah, this is great. Like, you know, like I feel horrible that I did not see part 1 in theaters. You know, I feel lucky to see 2, 3, and 4, but that pains me that I did not know any better, especially because the state of action movies at this point too. And then to have this come out and like, you know, love William Dafoe, didn't know he was in it because I never watched the trailer to it. And then like, I purposely avoided the trailers to part 4 because I wanted to go in completely blind. I was like, I don't want to know shit about this movie. But for me, like 1 and 2 are like equal. Like, but I will say 1, because of that hour and 40 minute, it's a comfort movie. Like if I'm having a bummed out day, I just put on John Wick 1, like, because I know it'll, you know, cheer me up. I always laugh. Like I always have a good time with it.
Yeah, especially when the puppy dies. I always remember when we laugh at that part.
Oh, we definitely laugh at that part. That's the part we make fun of the most. Come on now.
Fucking psycho.
I'm not a pet person. I didn't care. I'm like, oh, well, pick another one up. They all look the same, right? Just get another dog.
Well, what was mentioned with, you know, the club scene, like once that was like, once it was shown of them breaking into his house and seeing the precision and how precise everything was, it's like, oh shit, this is something completely different. What the hell is going on? Then you get to the club scene, and then you get to him telling him, yeah, I'm back, and just like nonstop, go, go, go. And same thing with like the way part 2 ends, with the way part 1 ends with Alfie Allen. Like he's in mid-sentence and John Wick just blows him away.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking badass. Like usually, you know, you have that big showdown of the, you know, the guy that did wrong to the hero. Nope. This one's like, nah, he ain't got time to kick his ass or anything like that. Bullet in his head and keeps on walking. Like, and then you still have a final fight that is completely worth it with the, you know, chase there. And the only thing that's crazy is knowing that they ran out of money for the final sequence to wrap up the movie. And like, it's insane to know that the first movie, made like 30 million. And now we're at the 4th one and it's made over 70 million.
Yeah, it's made 170 worldwide.
Yeah,
or something
worldwide.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the catalyst to get this all started out, that simplicity of it all. Like, God, like before this, the basement getting dug up. God, so badass, so hard.
Yep.
Like, part 1, like it took the next level. Like, that was where we got to see going, well, if we're going to have an action movie, this is the new standard.
Yeah.
Everyone better pay attention because you can't go back to early 2000s. It's something I mentioned to Charlie the other day that I'm concerned about with the Ballerina movie. Lynn Wiseman's the director. I like Underworld. I have no problem with Underworld, but it's a very early 2000s action movie. I don't know if he can do a John Wick style action movie. I'm afraid that it's going to look.
Yeah, he did Die Hard 4 as well.
Yeah, like it's just one of those where it's like, well, we'll see. I could be proven wrong, but like I just have a feeling that's like a type of person that is going to be stuck in the Jason Bourne era. And it's like, no. Like there's new shoes that have been filled. Like
everyone action scenes has to look good. Has to be stylish. Yeah.
I have hopes for him, but he also has a tremendous team behind him because it's not just him going to be in control of it all. You know, you're still going to have 87 North, I think it is, that does all of like the action stuff still with them, which for me being such a fangirl of them, I haven't really brought them up a whole lot because I feel like I say it every time we talk about their movies because I love Nobody, I love Violent Night, I love all the John Wicks.
Yeah. But that's me. I'll get off my high horse. Like that's Part 1 and 2 are equal to me though. Like I could watch either one and be like, cool.
Yeah. I mean, the second one is just really a continuation of the first movie, and that's the thing. It's almost like one story. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's so hard to rank any of them because if someone said you have to watch this movie, like okay, I would have no problem watching any of them anytime. So,
right.
But yeah, the first one has my favorite script of all of them. Like he said, the Baba Yaga speech and everything. He's the man who said to kill the fucking boogeyman. I love all that. And then with a fucking pencil, there's just so many like great lines.
Part 2, we get to see the pencil kill.
Yeah, I love that. I actually get to see the pencil thing. I remember cheering at that, and I was like, "Oh, look, he's got a pencil!" Oh, nobody's excited as I
was
am.
like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
So, Charlie.
Yeah, I almost mirror Nate a little bit because it's part 1, and I didn't watch this in theater. It kind of went under my radar, and it was also because Keanu Reeves was just not hitting dingers. I did like 47 Ronin, I think's the number of it. That was interesting. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't like whoa, so I rented this movie, and for some reason Jackie was out with the kids or something. They were like in Ohio, and I watched it, and I sat there and watched it a second time. And it's very rare when I do that with movies. I was like, that's so fucking good. I have to watch this again. And then when Jackie came home, we got to watch this movie. I probably watched John Wick like 5 times within a week. It's just so fucking impactful. It tears your heart out when you find out about why he's doing what he's doing with his wife, the dog. When he digs that case up out of the basement is one of the most fucking powerful scenes in cinema at the time. I mean, it was just fucking amazing.
You
felt
resurrected the devil.
Yeah. You just woke him up. The conversation between Vigo and John Leguizamo about, I heard you struck my son. And his final words was, oh. Like, that's it, man. Like, John Leguizamo slightly nervous, but he also knew, like, he's gonna understand when I tell him. It's powerful as shit. I love the cars in it. It's amazing set pieces. It's gritty. It's dark. It was new, and it was unexpected. It had no right to be as good as it was, and like we said, the sequels have no right to even come close. Like, it shouldn't be this close of a comparison for us tonight.
There should have been an entry, and there isn't.
Exactly. Right. There should have been just one where we go, did they really need to do that one? It's not. Like, literally sit down and watch 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in a row, and it just feels like this beautiful progression of a story. Yeah. And I want to do that once the 4th one comes out. I just want to sit down and watch all of them on a Saturday or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 1 is, as Nate eloquently puts it, God tier for action. And I will hold it to high. If there's above 10 of 10, if there's a space infinity, then this gets space infinity.
This movie goes to 11.
Exactly.
No, I hate when people say 110% or something.
I didn't say 110%. I just I want more.
No, it just does the Spinal Tap. It goes to
I like
11.
Spinal Tap. Yeah, but they were wrong. It doesn't go to.
One is the most heartfelt as well. It's the one with the most soul to it, whatever. Because like his wife has just died, and then whenever he gets the puppy and he reads the letter from it, and then he just starts sobbing and breaking down. I thought that's the most realistic and human part of like the entire series, and it's just really sort of gets you. And from that scene on, you're on his side. And the puppy is so freaking cute. It's like so adorable. Like, you bastards.
I'm like, they knew what they were doing.
It's like, I'm going to watch that season of Game of Thrones where your man Ramsay kidnaps him and does all that nasty shit to him. But you fucking deserve all of this, you dick.
No way. You can't put Ramsay on him. That guy's the most piece of trash, evil person of all time. No way.
It's funny, everyone's talking about Joffrey watching Game of Thrones.
I like Joffrey.
He was a choir boy in comparison to Ramsay. He's the most evil motherfucker I've ever seen.
I like Joffrey.
He is.
It's a choir boy.
He already had the deck stacked against him in this movie. That's all there was to it.
Yeah.
But it's just so, and I like I once said, Daniel Bernhardt is a badass action guy who was overlooked most of his career. Kind of more of a, this brought him back, just like what they're doing now with Scott Adkins. They're putting him out in the forefront now, and I fucking love when they do that.
Yeah.
These guys are the hard workers in action movies.
Yeah, seeing Scott on like Access Hollywood and all these like mainstream shows, and everyone's like, "Oh, finally!"
It's so fucking heartwarming, man.
And people are saying to him, "Oh, it's great to see you in this movie and whatever else." And I was like, "Yeah, he's been in movies for a long time." It's like if you've been watching him. Like
how many of these interviewers think like this is maybe his first or second? Because weren't you in Expendables 2 as a henchman? Yeah. But it's like this motherfucker is one of the hardest working dudes in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, he is Boyka.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so happy that it's doing good for those guys. So.
But it's funny, ever since this came out and it was a success, Daniel Bernhardt never responded to emails. But that's okay, Daniel. I don't hold it personally. That's fine.
It's cool. We
He's
get it.
Done. Erased from existence.
Pretty much. Yeah, that was the thing. I know. I was like, all right, so you don't need our support anymore. Okay, that's fine. All right. We'll not bother then. Anyway, G-Man, over to you.
All right. So number 2 is my favorite. 1 and 2 are equal. I would almost go so far as to say 1, 2, and 3. I would almost put 3, but I would put like if I did 1 and 2, if I'm comparing, I would do 10 out of 10 for 1, 10 out of 10 for 2, 9.5 for 3. I would say 4 would be more like an 8.5 for me, 8, because I have a lot more issues than you guys. Yeah, I have a bit more issues. But anyways, part 2. Okay, so I'm reverse of everyone's story here. I saw 47 run in the theater. I liked it. I saw Day of the Earth Stood Still is shit because it's a remake and the original is a masterpiece. But I saw John Wick in the theater. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's 10 out of 10. This is so good. Then they're like, we're doing John Wick 2. I'm like, oh, no, you're not. It's trash. I'm not seeing it. I did not go to see it in the theater.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, I guarantee you this is bullshit. Because it's like, how are they going to make it better? It's just going to be a cash grab. Part 3 came out. Didn't see it in the theater. I'm like, nope, F this series. I'm good with John Wick 1. I'll just keep my John Wick 1. Steven, who's not here with today, was like, did you watch John Wick 2 and 3? I'm like, nope, it's trash. He's like, no, they're really good. I'm like, really? I was like, okay, I'll buy them because I'll just buy stuff. It's like, I just need one person to tell me, get it, right? So I was like, okay, I'll get it. So I bought 2 and 3 on 4K. I was like, oh my God. Like what I almost like, and I was like, I think I like all 3 of these equally. I'm like, shit, I really missed out on this. And the thing with part 2 is that it's like Karate Kid 2. The first bit of Karate Kid 2 concludes and gives you extra stuff of Karate Kid 1. So it's almost like you're watching Karate Kid 1 if you watch Karate Kid 2, the highlights. And then you get a little bit of a break and you develop the story, the characters, like start to open up the world a bit. And then you get a whole new movie. I thought, well, this is so cool because I feel like when I watch John Wick 2, I'm kind of watching a little bit of part 1, but I'm also getting this new story.
Yeah.
Plus, I think I don't care about animals. I don't want them to be hurt, but I don't care about the dog dying. I'm not emotional. It's 0 for me. I'm like, okay, his dog died, whatever. I'm more interested in like I'm a monster. I'm a monster.
Where's the mute?
I'm not saying dog shit.
Button.
The stream is over,
dude. I'm not saying dog shit.
I hope John Wick kicks your ass.
Yeah, he won't.
John,
he won't.
let me get tell you where this guy lives.
I'll get the marker out. No, I'm not saying I want animals injured. I'm just saying I don't cry about that, right? So anyway, no, but the thing with part 2 is opening up the world, yes, and I really like, the locations. To me, this was like, okay, they've really expanded this. And Nate, you said this too. It's like, wow, this is like a hell of a lot better than any sequel really usually is. So I was like, okay. And I'm talking mainstream, not like I like Sleepaway Camp 2 better than Sleepaway Camp 1. Or
yeah,
whatever. Right. But like, I mean, mainstream movies, right? It's not just a cash grab. They've really thought this through because John Wick's thing is done. He's like, he buries his thing in that. I'm like, well, while I'm watching part 2, I'm like, how is there a part 2? Because he just buried his thing. He concreted it back out. Then this marker came in. I thought, this was brilliant. The marker is the turning point for me for the whole series because now it's like, oh my God, this is so cool. There's a whole reason for him to get into this again. Because so many sequels, why is he doing this? Oh, well, because some stupid reason is some bullshit. Even Die Hard 2, I love Die Hard 2. Oh, he's just, yeah, okay, now this is happening again. This was actually thought out. And it is hard to do a part 1 and do it good, but it's even more difficult to do a part 2 and have it be as good or even better because usually you spent your ideas and now you're just, continuing on. This one brought new ideas that I'd never seen before. Oh, this is really cool. When he goes to kill the sister and she just kills herself. That entire scene is so beautiful where she's laying with the blood coming out. I'm like, this is so amazing.
Yeah.
And then Common, man, when they're fucking there and he's like, are you working tonight? He's like, yep. He's like, yeah, it's gone good. Like I've had a good night. You're like, oh shit. And it's like, boom. And even when they double cross him and he set up, I love this. They did this in The Killer, John Woo. But when you set up, because he's setting up the guns, when he goes to get the suit and everything, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? How many weapons do you need for this? Like this movie, every 15 minutes introduces something. You're like, I didn't see her killing herself. That's cool. And then he set up the guns. I'm like, oh my God, he set all this up because he fucking knew that was the way out and they're going to wait for him.
He laid them all around.
He laid them all around.
I love that. Yeah.
I haven't seen that since The Killer, whenever year that was, 86 or something.
I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that was the thing. And I was like, oh shit, this is so good. And like from that moment on, it is slow. But when it builds up, you're like, it is non-stop running and pulse pounding. You're like, goddamn. And because the villain is such a little like dick, he's just like you're like, screw this guy. John Wick could easily kill you, but you got your guys, you got the rules to hide behind.
Coward.
And just like Nate was saying, when you come in there, it's like, no, Jonathan's like, yeah, fuck this. It's like this guy used the rules to get me to come back. Then he flipped it to try to kill me, and he's trying to take power. And everybody here knows it's better for him to die because you don't want him to take over New York or whatever. It's like, and now you're quoting rules. F this. He just shoots it. And I'm like into thinking like, God damn, I was like, yeah, like even after that, I'm like, yeah, the movies are good. I've never been like, yeah, like, fucking kill. I was like, and then they're like, okay, Jonathan, you're done. I'm like, well, whatever. And it's like, you know what? You guys are bullshit anyways. You know it's better that he's dead. And like the guy screwed you, your rules. Well, they screwed me. So whatever. I don't know. I think part 2 is like a masterpiece of action movies. Like, I don't know. Like I can't, I don't know. I don't know. Did I sway anybody?
I think you made fantastic points. Didn't sway us. But
oh man, that's it.
I think the fact that we're all like 0.5 in this movie to death, when in all reality we should all just be like, they're all 4.10s. I just want to watch all of them. Period. Yeah, but you make some fucking fantastic points about too. I mean, really. I mean, it's
hard. Like if they said to you, write part 2 after part 1. What are you going to do? Well, maybe he's doing it, but then that's generic. Like people will come up with something to come up with a whole new concept.
Just go, well, now they killed his cat, and that's part 2.
No, Nate.
Like,
I know you're joking.
Part 2, like, worked. Yeah. It was just one of those things. I remember being in theaters and my jaw just like the whole time, and then in 3, my jaw, Halle Berry, and then
Although,
and then 4,
I literally thought they're going to say, "Oh, now his neighbor gets killed. Oh, they killed my neighbor." Now I'm like, I was like, "Oh God!"
No, they got to do the best thing that every sequel does. You got to go into space.
Yes,
you got to
heartbeat.
When Fast and the Furious, I dropped Fast and the Furious after part 5. When they go to space, I'm back in.
They did last one.
Oh, they went to space. Nobody told me.
They went to space.
No, hold on. Yeah, but they legitimately go to space and fight guys. Oh my God!
The cars is in space or it's so dumb. But the thing is,
I don't want to spoil it because I got yelled at early. No, it's not. It's a Pontiac Fiero with a jet engine on the back, so they can take out a satellite.
The thing is,
but it's not like James Bond. It's not like where they fight.
They shoot a rocket in space.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out.
See, the thing is, like. Everyone's like, oh, the Fast movies are so stupid, whatever. And I was like, yeah, they are, but they know they are. Like the John Wick movies, John Wick movies are stupid. I mean, he died multiple times in these movies.
How many times can a man, like, especially in 4, when he lands on his back on a pillar? I'm like, he should have been Batman at that point, and then just like rolled off of it and never get up again.
The concussion hits of bullets, even if your suit is bulletproof. That is destroying you on the internals.
Yeah,
like you're not getting up after getting shot.
Hitting you.
You're getting the full impact. It's not a force field. It's not Superman.
But these movies feel like a comic book, but not a Marvel comic book, like a Image or like
yes, there you go.
Like
Image
that's
is good.
What they are, and like I love it for it because it takes itself so seriously. I am curious if David Leitch would have stayed with the series instead of branching off. Like what would he have brought to those movies too? Because I gotta say, like the stuff he's done away from on his own, I'm not as big as a fan. Like, I'm okay with that Fast and Furious movie with The Rock and Jason Statham.
Hobbs and Shaw. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed
I hated Hobbs and Shaw.
That was so much
hated
fun.
it. No,
I
it
enjoyed
wasn't.
Deadpool 2, but like
Yeah.
when I watched those, I'm like, like this was one
This is
half
not
of the
good.
first John Wick. Like I was expecting just a little bit more from both of these. So
Yeah. I liked Hobbs and Shaw for one reason, that some of it was filmed in Scotland. So when something is filmed in Scotland, I'm like, no,
Nice.
I took it as like the ultimate like buddy movie. You know, it's not buddy cop, but
the sheer might of a man holding a chain for a vehicle and a helicopter and just
I love that. When they're walking down both sides of the hallway with the window in between them, and they're like agging each other on. The Rock takes on the giant dude, and Jason Statham takes on like 8 people.
Yeah.
And the Rock's like, yeah, I fucking love that, man. It's
I don't know if I'd watch it again, because I remember watching going, all right, I saw it.
I've watched that movie like 10 times already.
Oh my God, Charlie, you need help.
No,
it's not
Charlie does
funny
need help.
at
Thank
all.
God.
It's so,
You need help because you need emotions, and Charlie needs help because he likes weird things like Jason Goes to Hell.
I like Jason Goes to Hell. I got the poster framed right behind
What's
me.
wrong with both of you?
You can't tear us apart, Nate.
Yeah.
J-Man and I have a connection. No
Yeah,
one
we do have a
understands.
connection on. Yeah. And He-Man is there. So
All in the He-Man.
Bastard men.
So was that everybody ranked them then?
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
so
we're all
I
John
was.
Wick.
Exactly.
I kept track. So I was 4-3-1-2. Owen, you're 2-3-4-1. Nate, you're 3-4-2-1, and Charlie, you're 3-2-4-1. So Owen and Charlie have the same 1 and 2. Nate and I have the first two, but just flipped.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird though that none of us
Interesting.
were like exactly. The
None
same.
of them
I thought
were
we
exact.
would. I really did.
No, I thought it would be different. Well, I'm surprised anybody had number 2 at number 1, but I think that's interesting because
I had a feeling.
I love all of them though, and that's the thing. Like I can't
it
get
was
mad.
hard for me. Like it
Yeah.
like it could have been a flip of a coin, but like, yep, 2's one for me.
Yeah,
But,
can't get mad with anybody or any decision there because I was like, yeah, I agree with all the points, and I love all the movies, so I own them all and can't wait to get part 4.
Same.
Like,
Yeah,
For sure.
I'm not going to see part 4 again in the cinema. I've seen it once. It's 3 hours in the cinema.
I'm not.
Enough. I'll get it on 4K. That'll be sufficient.
How do you guys not hold your? I've done like Lord of the Rings extended, no bathroom needed. I'm eating popcorn and drinking pop the whole way. What's going on with you guys?
let me tell
I
you,
have
okay. I was 4th grade. My little brother went with me to see The Phantom Menace, and when Darth Maul starts to fight Obi-Wan, guess who had to walk his little brother to the restroom?
No, that's the only good part.
Just go with that old man. Get into his car. I'll be fine.
I swore off drinking soda for like 14 years at the theater.
No.
I was like, no, I will never drink pop again in the movie theater. It took
I'm
years
fine.
for me to break that.
Like,
and now I
just
have
wanna-
load myself.
Oh, you're okay. Okay.
I
I'll
just
take
want
a
to
piss
watch
before
it.
the movie.
Yeah, I just want to watch it in my own house now.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it in
Right.
the theater, I've experienced it.
Yeah.
Now I want to sit in my recliner on my 65-inch high def
And
TV.
fall asleep while
Yes.
watching it.
If I doze off, I doze off. I can start it back.
You got
where I
that
left
dad
off.
energy where once the recliner's gone, you're just snooze town.
Yes. Oh, it's a real thing, guys. I don't know what to tell you. The day drains you, and you hit that recliner just right. And you're,
The dad enters.
but I'll know if you change that fucking channel. I'll know.
There you go, there you go.
Thermostat. If the thermostat has been changed,
That's it.
My dad think went off.
That's it.
Yep. All right. We'll
was
wrap
fun.
up there. Then. So, just to mention again, so in case I have to edit this again, so my choice was. Oh fuck! I forgot already. What was it? Oh yeah. Okay.
That's how good they were. Owen can't remember his ranking.
I can't remember what fucking day of the week is. Anyways. So.
It's Thursday.
So which day? Hi Preston and everybody in that samurai. Oh fuck. This is why I don't do things like I'll just
live.
Who
I
gives a
love it.
shit?
You
I don't
did
give
it
a
good
shit.
earlier.
I'll edit it later. That's fine. I'll just fucking send it.
Just send him the whole stream. I didn't know what to do.
Just take it. Just post the whole thing.
You should have just. I was looking. I think it was like an hour in, like 104 or something like that.
I think it was something like that. Yeah. So I'll find it anyway, and then I can just cut that out of it and send it over tomorrow.
There you go.
I will do that. So, so maybe not next week then if we're doing Mario Brothers or something.
Well, me, Sean, and Steven are all seeing Mario Brothers, so that's not that.
Well,
Sean
I'm not going to come with you because I wasn't invited, but
I ordered this. I didn't know you're a Mario guy. We didn't do John. I didn't. You got to let me know ahead of time.
Oh, it's spicy.
Oh my gosh, I know. Super Mario Brothers is not an Owen thing, right? Like
you know that.
You know what I mean? Like it's like we go to see like the obvious ones, right? It's like, that's an obvious one, right? Like
no, I like everything.
Okay.
I bought Citizen Kane in 4K a few weeks ago. Yeah,
I have.
We can do
a
one shot next week if you want, just something BSing, or if you want to wait a week, it's up to you.
I know I wouldn't be able to do next Wednesday.
I can, so
go for it. You
support.
Yeah. 1-4. Well, what up, Jonathan? This is exactly the same as mine. Well done, Jonathan. I knew I liked you.
Yep.
Right, Charlie. I got an idea for one. We're just going to talk. I want to talk about The Specialist. Stallone. Okay. I fucking love that movie. So,
I got it.
We can just talk about that, and then the week after we can do the villains one. I'm so sorry, Ronnie. If you see this, you're going to be like,
that poor guy.
I know. I'm like, I'm sorry. We're not going to do it. I swear, one day we're going to do the villains one. But J-Man screwed it up. Believe him.
Oh, there's Sean and Steve.
We're here, dude.
It's the guy who's here who gets the
guy who killed John Wick's dog. It's him.
Listen, it's sheds. You got to clean up after it.
I'm more of a coyote fan than a dog fan. So
you do love your coyotes, man.
I do, yeah. Coyotes. So, I mean, you hear them out there every night, like they're out just across the road, and it's like you're instead of Dracula or something. You hear them. It's crazy. I love it. But anyway, yeah, okay. So me and you, we'll just do one. Maybe Wednesday. We'll see. We'll do a specialist, and then at some point we'll do the villains one.
Once we can get on J-Man's schedule.
Once he can fit it into his busy schedule. when it's not inviting me to the movies.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna tell you everything I buy in every movie I see in advance, and then you can I'll put you in, and then you can opt out.
Yeah, there you go. Do that. Yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Sign up for the subscription. Just type no.
Right. Just right. Just type no when you don't.
I'm not going to see Dungeons and Dragons because it looks like shit, and it's all about emasculating the male characters. And again, thanks. So I'm not interested. So
right, I'm not going to see it either.
Yeah,
even though I just played D&D yesterday.
Yeah. So why are you not seeing it? Just out of interest?
Because it's bullshit. I want Conan the Barbarian. I don't want Marvel Superheroes D&D edition.
See, to me, it looks like a fucking Marvel movie. Yeah.
I always have a hard time because all my D&D sessions just turn into It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I've never had a serious session.
Okay, question, because I've never played it, but I used to love the cartoon growing up. Is Venger in the actual game?
The game has whatever you want it to be. The game
whatever you want it to be.
I love Venger as a villain. Yeah. And then I was watching saw the trailer to this new movie, and there's no Venger in this. What the fuck's this? This
that cartoon just made up whatever characters it want. Dungeons and Dragons is not a game. It's a rules system. I have to write a story. You played D&D. Oh, and you played it. You played Dark Sun. That was D&D. You've played whatever you played with me.
Okay.
That was D&D. So I wrote a story. And yeah, my story had slavery and torture and gladiators, and that was what I wrote. I wrote that.
That's what it should be.
That's how it should be. Not, we're here. Look, it's a thief's bridge. And he's like, I stepped on it and the bridge broke. I'm like, this is like fucking not funny. Like, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah, and he's like, there has to be sharper stairs somewhere. I'm like, fuck off.
Like, I just, no.
Oh, look, it's Michelle Rodriguez being the same as she is in every
movie
ever.
Well, that's her.
Yeah, it's just her. Yeah, just being her and everything. Yeah, so fuck that. I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, I'm still going to buy it for my D&D collection, though.
No, don't.
I'm still buying it on 4K.
These movies and they make money.
No, I'm part of the problem. I support them when they come out.
Yeah, you are definitely part of the problem. Agreed. So, all right, well, we'll head off then because it's 9:30, and in Canada we will turn to smoke soon if we don't go to bed soon. That's the way it is.
It's true.
Yeah. So okay. So next week we're going to do Specialist. It's going to be me and Charlie shooting the shit about that, but Stallone. And yeah, it won't be too long, I don't think. But you never know. We'll just talk shit like we usually do.
We've said this before to our
3 hours later. Yeah.
John Wick 4 later.
I'm sorry, Ronnie, that we're not doing the villains one next week. I swear it'll be the week after.
It's that guy's fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, entirely G-Man's fault. We'll blame him.
Oh my God, stop it.
All right, anyway, guys, so remember, so we'll see you next week. And remember, if you are watching, you are the action elite, and be seeing you.